Hey, Mitch. Mitch? Man, I swore I told him about the 40th anniversary of Flash Gordon. I know. I'll try and contact him using telepathy like they do in the movie. It's me, Ed. Do you read? Over?
Ed, Sam Jones, Flash Gordon here.
Sam Jones? Hey, Sam. Sorry to bother you. We're just talking about Flash Gordon and the anniversary.
I wanted to wish you a belated happy anniversary.
Sam, I should be wishing you a happy anniversary. Hang up. I've got to go.
Where?
Mitch is coming. Take care.
Blessings to all of you.
And same to you, Sam.
Oh, jeez. I'm so sorry, Ed. I forgot what time it was. I was outside and things got a little crazy. Are we all set for the 40th anniversary of Flash Gordon?
Absolutely. Let's head to Mongo.
Hey, by the way, do you know anything about this hot hail that's going on?
Hi, this is Ed Dollister.
And this is Mitch Halleck.
And welcome to another episode of Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. We've got a great show for you today. One of my favorite movies of all time. We're going to be looking back on the 40th anniversary of Flash Gordon. But before we begin, a big thank you to all our new subscribers. Hope you enjoyed our last episode, which had Mitch eating his 31-year-old Batman cereal. How have you recovered?
Oh, let's just say it was bat-tacular. I was okay. A little green around the gills, but it was all right. It could have been worse. I'm still here. And amazingly, I'm resistant to most form of bacteria now.
Well,
or should I say bacteria?
Oh, I see what you did there. So yeah, thank you so much for subscribing. We've had a big influx. That was for our 200th subscriber, and we're well on our way to 250 already, which is fantastic. And thank you to everyone who's been viewing. What should the viewers do if they want to find out a little bit more about the show and when we've got new episodes?
If they want more Mitch and Ed in their life, and who doesn't want that, and they want to know when things are happening, not only should they subscribe by hitting the button below, but also hit the notification so they'll be alerted to when we have a new episode. And I've just done some research. If they hit the like button on our shows as well, it helps with the YouTube algorithm and brings us up more in the rankings. So even if you've already subscribed and you've already been notified, hit the like button sometimes. That is if you like the show, and who wouldn't. And that helps everybody, and the world goes around the sun, and we're all happy, and we're just peachy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And today we're talking about something that you're not so peachy about, but it's one of my all-time favorite movies. It is Flash Gordon from 1980. It just celebrated a few days ago its 40th anniversary, and I love this film. But before we get into the movie, and I know that it's not your favorite film, Mitch, I thought we'll talk a little bit about, we're not going to delve too deep into it, but just talk about, what I like about it. Certainly, maybe some of the misgivings you have about the film, but we'll talk a little bit about the history of Flash Gordon, because he's one of the oldest comic book characters.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, absolutely, Ed. Now, comic books is what I know, because that's what I do for a living as the maker of Terrificon, Connecticut's Terrific Comic Con, happening every summer at the Mohegan Sun in Uncasville, Connecticut. I have been a lifelong comic book fan, and even before I could read, I knew about Flash Gordon because my dad would sit me down in front of the TV. It was a cheap babysitter. And what it was is they would run these serials, these old-time movie serials on Saturday morning TV on Channel 9 in Secaucus, New Jersey. And they would show Buster Crabbe in Buck Rogers, but they also showed Buster Crabbe as Flash Gordon from 3 different movie serials. Now, Buster Crabbe was also an Olympic athlete. and he was a big to-do, but he was also in Tarzan, like I mentioned, Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon. He was like the Harrison Ford of the 30s because he was in all these comic book superhero type movies. But Flash Gordon was based on a comic strip that began in 1934 by artist Alex Raymond, and it was this fantastical journey to the stars. It had a polo player named Flash Gordon who gets sucked into this other world, Mongo, something like that.
Mongo, yeah.
Mongo, yeah. And there's Dale Arden, who becomes his love interest. And then there's the crazy Dr. Zarkov. All the characters that you know from the 1980 film were in the original serial and the comic strip and all the stuff that made it a legendary thing. And it ran for years. I mean, Flash Gordon was one of the most popular comic strips ever. I mean, it was even inspiring, superheroes to come, like Superman and anything really, because that made the template. That was the daring duo, the heroic guy that was on these crazy adventures,
the all-American hero. And I suppose
blonde hair, blue eyes, all set for that.
And it was really a reaction to the comic Buck Rogers, which had come before it and was a huge success. And I know that wasn't it at King's
Features? That was the syndicate.
The comic book. They said, "Oh, we need to compete with Buck Rogers. What can we do?" And that's when they approached Alex Raymond to, and he created Flash Gordon out of that.
Created Flash Gordon, yeah. I mean, but you also got to remember, there's another movie that you're a big fan of, but it's also a pulp character, John Carter of Mars.
Yes.
Which is Edgar Rice Burroughs. That's a lot of the same thing where you've got the swashbuckling hero on another planet fighting monsters and such. So, I mean, as original and creative as Flash Gordon was, there were some characters that had preceded him that kind of laid the groundwork a little bit. But Flash took it all the way. I mean, he was literally, next to Tarzan, I think the most popular cartoon comic strip character there was. And that's why it was a natural to go to these movie serials. And like I mentioned, not one, not two, but he had 3 different movie serials. That's unheard of. Other than like Batman, nobody else really had 3 movie serials. Actually, Batman only had 2.
Yeah.
But they were the basis for it. And then we'll talk about your movie. But I got to tell you, what they did is they took the Flash Gordon serial and they condensed it to about an hour and 10-minute full-length movie. And a lot of the elements that are in the 1980 movie, I was unaware of because I just didn't like Flash Gordon. But you could see all the things that are going to be in the Dino De Laurentiis production that came out in 1980 are in this serial, this original movie. So I'm thinking more and more, as much as I dislike the film, I do appreciate it because it's almost like an homage to the serial that was so hugely popular. It would almost be like if somebody made a Star Wars remake now, because that came out over 40 years ago, and it's all something that we grew up with. And imagine a new generation of kids, like 8 or 9 years old, discovering Star Wars. If they had remade it, you and I would be like, oh, that's blasphemy. How dare you do that? But imagine if they had a new Luke Skywalker and a new Han Solo and everything was different. That's exactly what happens with this 1980 Flash Gordon movie. If you were a fan of the original serial, they're all there, all the characters, all the sets, all the costumes even. It's just done in color with some more flair.
Yes.
And that's one thing I can give it credit. But I digress. We're going to go now into the 80s, or actually the 70s.
Yeah.
How did this movie come about? Who's the one that said, let's make a big production out of Flash Gordon?
Well, originally, and I will just say that while newer fans loved the new Flash Gordon, really enjoyed it, a lot of the old school fans of Flash Gordon thought it was way too campy. And we'll get into that a little bit. It is what it is, and I like that aspect of it. But yeah, let's basically, in the late 60s, Dino De Laurentiis was around. He produced a couple of comic book movies, in the European market. Barbarella is probably the most famous one, I think 1968, with Jane Fonda and Duran, who I always, that's where they get Duran
you think
from.
of that, yeah.
Yep. Which is a pretty, far out far out science fiction movie. And around that same time, early 70s, there was a filmmaker. You may know him. What's his name? George Lucas.
George Lucas.
Yeah, I think George
Guy?
Lucas.
Yeah.
And after American Graffiti, you know, was a huge success, he wanted to make a science fiction film. In fact, he wanted to make Flash Gordon. Unfortunately, Flash Gordon, the rights were not available at that time because they were held by Dino De Laurentiis, who wanted to make the film. Originally, my understanding is he wanted Fellini, the famed filmmaker, to make the film. However, that never came to fruition. So the rights weren't available. De Laurentiis, who's, you know, a prolific producer, even at this stage, said no. He was about to gear up to do King Kong, which in 1976, which I'm sure we're going to talk about in
I was talking about that today. Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, it's great. Written by Lorenzo Semple Jr. as well. So Lucas essentially went away and created Star Wars. That's the Cliff Notes version of it. You know, there's a lot more that you can research. And again, we'll say, you know, we're not, this is not the definitive. I know where this is all you need to know about it, but then you can go a little bit further and do a little bit more research and read more. And there's lots of great documentaries.
I'm going to tell you real quick, from an aesthetic point of view, from an artistic look, when you mentioned Barbarella, there is definitely a European look to this movie. Okay. Yes. You said Federico Fellini was considered to be the director. I don't know the name of the art director. Maybe you do, but it's you can see. What's that?
Oh, in Flash Gordon, it's Danilo Donati.
I was going to say, it definitely has an Italian look. And what I mean by that is very colorful. It's very reminiscent of like an opera almost, you know, with the colors and the bright reds and all that stuff. It comes across as a European spectacular, like a circus almost, like a Cirque du Soleil type of thing.
Pauline Kael, the film critic, she called Flash Gordon like a fairy tale set in a discotheque in the clouds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Encapsulates it perfectly. And Donati, who did the costume designs, I know we're all over the shop.
That's right.
Was
this movie.
He worked with Fellini. Yeah, well, true. He worked with Fellini as a costume designer. But even before it got to that stage, De Laurentiis, when he wanted to create Flash Gordon, he worked with Nicholas Roeg. Nicholas Roeg was the director of Man Who Fell to Earth with David Bowie.
David Bowie and Candy Clark. Yeah.
So basically, that was in development, but that was going in a totally different direction than De Laurentiis wanted. So they, you know, development hell, I suppose it was a little bit. So that was sidelined, and that's when they asked Mike Hodges to come in to direct. Mike Hodges had directed Get Carter, which was a great sort of a British thriller with Michael Caine. He also did a number of films. I suppose one that most people may have seen who like science fiction is The Terminal Man, which was based on the Michael Crichton book. Okay, so which was around you know, early to mid 70s or whenever that came out. So Mike Hodges has often said, you know, he's not the right person to direct a big budget science fiction film, but he went along with it. And I think that was the theme for the entire film. It was a bit like Indiana Jones, making it up as you go. They had all these fantastic designs. They had all these fantastic ideas, but you know, I know Mike Hodges was often saying, well, hang on, where does that fit into the script? He often said Danilo Donati didn't speak English very well. And the director often said, I'm not even sure if he read the script. But the designs he came up were absolutely fantastic. And I'll again, we're all over the shop, but I can't believe that Flash Gordon was not nominated for an Oscar for best costumes or best production design, because again, even if you it's not your favorite movie, it looks spectacular, and it's unlike anything you have ever seen. And look, have a look around. You know, people know me. I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
But when I went to see Flash Gordon in the cinema in 1980, from the very start, where we see that wonderful, even more so than Star Wars, I felt the stereo where the lightning bolts and you had the animated opening
Logo.
where you saw Alex Raymond's artwork of the characters with the actors. I thought, wow, this isn't like Star Wars at all. It's totally different. And I really like that.
I was going to say, there's, I think, where we start to diverge in liking this movie and disliking this movie. That's where the schism starts, because I grew up with Star Trek, which is that clean, aesthetic, scientific look of the future, you know, very nice. And all the movies were like that before.
Yes.
That's 2001, Silent Running. We all had that. Logan's Run. Everything was clean and polished and always white walls and shiny surfaces and silver and aluminum everywhere. And then Star Wars comes, which is that beat up, lived in
universe. Yes.
Used universe. And the color palette is yellow, it's earth tones, it's gray, it's black. There's no bright red in Star Wars. There's no bright blue in Star Wars. Everything is a muted color. And that appealed to me because that was different from all the previous science fiction films and seemed more realistic. So I'm in that mindset in 1977 of this is the Star Wars, this is the science fiction that I know and love. Can't wait to see more of it. It's that Wild West and outer space look, not Disco Studio 54 in outer space look. And that's what happens. So much so that when this movie comes out, and I got to be honest with you, I never saw Flash Gordon in the movie theaters in 1980 because I could not stand the trailer for it. I couldn't stand the look of it. I mean, you got to just look at this right now, and you want to talk about this. You look at your background, you've got bright red, you've got flashing lights, you've got color. You look on this side of the house, we've got muted colors. It's all kind of dirty and dungy and run down and everything like that. So this is typical of the type of moviegoer we are. You're more flamboyant and exciting and like that, and I'm more stuck in the mud, dreary, doomsday, sunny skies, hot hail. That's all I'm going to say.
That's right. Half glass full, half glass empty.
And contaminated at my side. So anyway, I think that has a lot to do with it because I had no desire to see this movie. And the only thing I knew about this movie, and we'll get into that, is because I have older sisters and they were music fans and they knew Freddie Mercury because we had the We Are the Champions and all the Freddie Mercury Queen albums. I knew Flash Gordon only because of the music, and that's the only thing that was in my house. I didn't have the comic book. I didn't have any toys. Well, there are no toys, but nothing. And my dad, like I mentioned, loved the original Flash Gordon, and maybe this is where I got to get it too.
Yep.
He hated the idea that they took his beloved movie serial that he grew up with in the 40s and 50s and turned it into disco. Okay, just the flashy Flash. That's what it became.
It's in the title. It's in the title.
It's in the title. But I told you, this movie to me is just an amalgam of so many different movies. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I know what's going on story-wise. I kind of think I do, but it looks like one of those 70s and 80s Oscar musical numbers where they used to get the showgirls and the show guys and they would come out and dance and spectacular, and you'd have glitter coming down and lights and effects and smoke. That's to me a 2-hour version of what this Flash Gordon is. It's just all form, no substance, Ed.
Well, all right.
And I'm done with my case. Now present your argument, sir.
Well, firstly, I'll just say, again, when it started production, they assembled a fantastic cast. Max von Sydow as Ming the Merciless, who is up there as one of the great movie villains, I think. Okay. You know,
he's a great actor. I'm not going to say,
and
I mean, he's Max von Sydow. He's a phenomenon. He's like Laurence Olivier.
And that's an example of when a comic, you know, not to rip off Joe Stuber, but when comic books come to life.
Now, did he want to be in this movie, or was he like their Marlon Brando?
he wanted to be in it. We had the wonderful Melody Anderson as Dale Arden, the spectacularly gorgeous Ornella Muti, who I had a huge crush on.
Okay, I got to ask you about her. Where did they get her from? Was this her first movie?
No, she was. She had done a lot of films in Europe, and a lot of the cast. Obviously, it's an English production, which is, I suppose, when you sort of think about Flash Gordon, the all-American hero. It's kind of funny that they today, I suppose, it doesn't matter. Batman, Robert Pattinson is he's English. Superman is
Christian
English.
Bale.
Henry Cavill.
Henry
all
Cavill.
those sort of things. It doesn't matter. But back then, I suppose, American films were made in America and, of American characters. But this one was a little bit different, filmed in the UK, obviously, and had a lot of European actors, Italian crew, the production designer, Mariangelo Mulatto as well.
Who was that?
General Kala, Flash Gordon approaching.
What do you mean, Flash Gordon approaching?
As Carla, you had the wonderful Peter Wingard from Department S and the Jason King series as Clytus, who I love.
Oh, that's who that was. Okay.
Yep. Topol.
Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah, Fiddler on the Roof, and was he in?
He was in a James Bond. Was
he Never Say Never Again?
No, that's Klaus Kinski. He was in not Julian Glover. That's
no.
Topol was in one of those movies.
I'll put it down below.
We'll put it down there. We're struggling. He's in a James Bond movie.
But it's interesting because Never Say Never Again was written by Lorenzo Semple Jr. And the writer of Flash Gordon, Lorenzo Semple Jr., who did King Kong, he did 3 Days of the Condor, and he was brought in and has often been accused of making Flash Gordon, campy. I suppose the correlation between that campiness and superheroes, you sort of think about, well, what's campy superheroes? You probably think of Batman, the 1966 series. Who wrote the original and 4 episodes of Batman?
Lorenzo Semple Jr.
Correct.
Correct.
So you can see that correlation. But I've always felt that while it was campy in nature and a bit tongue-in-cheek, it never took the Mickey out of it. I didn't feel like it was.
It wasn't like Doc Savage, which was another movie based on a pulp hero that went too campy. That movie. That's why that movie. I felt it was still reverent to the source material and still treated with respect, but just added a bit of playful fun. I always say it's a bit like have you ever seen Teen Titans Go, the animated series? Yeah, absolutely.
That takes the piss out of
it's lighthearted. It doesn't take itself seriously.
Yeah, it's still fun. And what I do like is that in Flash Gordon the movie, that there are Prince Baron Timothy Dalton. He's
like in a Shakespearean play. Yeah, he's playing it straight.
Yep, he is, which I love it. Everyone pretty much is playing it straight.
No, everyone in this movie is in a different movie.
Well,
they're all in their own movie. I'm telling you. You got Timothy Dalton, Shakespearean trained actor. He's taking it dead serious as if he's doing King Lear. That's his performance. Then you've got Sam Jones.
We haven't spoken about Sam Jones yet. I was building up to the.
Well, no, I'm just
to the great Sam Jones. Go.
The supporting cast.
Yeah.
Max von Sydow is doing this, mustache literally twirling.
Yeah,
he's literally chewing up the scenery. He's doing his bit. Melody Anderson, I'm not familiar what other work she's done. She's doing something like, it seems like Charlie's Angels, Love Boat, TV acting type of thing, not big motion picture. It just seemed odd. It seemed like Lauren Tews from the Love Boat. Then we've got Topol, who's out of control as Zarkov. I don't know what he's on. He's just like back poop crazy. We'll just say that. And the rest of them are all there. And then before you even talk about Sam Jones, Brian Blessed.
How can we forget Brian Blessed?
Oh, he's crazy because he's in his own movie.
Good. Stand by, my Hawkmen. They're trying to flush you out.
He's is doing whatever he wants, which is great. But I don't know where he fits in. He steals the scenes when he's in them because you can't get your eyes off the guy because he's so big. No one's. Where was the director to tell him to bring it down a little bit and kind of balance it out? And I
but
thought
that's
it was
the problem. This is not the film. All that
no
you would think doesn't
listen,
work. It all works.
I thought that was his acting. I saw this 1936 serial. No, that's the character, because even the actor who played him in the 30s was this big, boisterous, big fellow with a beard and loud. And
he's a combination of like Santa and like a Viking at the maybe Obelix from the Astro series.
That's the character in the comic strip, because I complained about the acting, and then my friend Jerry Ordway, comic book artist and writer Jerry Ordway, was talking to me about this, and he said, no, that's the character in the comic strip. He's this loud Viking-like character who's like, ho ho, let's go, and that's what you get. So I have to take it back. For all those years, I thought Brian Blessed was nuts. He's not. He's actually on point, and he's doing with the character. It's just so uneven when you look at all the other performances going on. That's
I don't think that. When you think of all the different, also if you think of if you think of Mongo and all its different, the principalities, you've got Dentia, you've got
you get the Forest City,
Arborea, you've got Phrygia, you've got all these. So they've all got these different personalities, and they're all thrust together in this one thing. I think that if everyone was playing it seriously, it wouldn't work with those fantastical backgrounds, those amazing costume designs, and the music, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But we can't obviously talk about Flash Gordon without talking about Sam J. Jones as Flash Gordon, who I think is fantastic as Flash Gordon. He's that naive, that wholesomeness in his performance. Rumor has it that they were searching for Flash Gordon. I think they looked at Kurt Russell. They looked at was it Harvey Keitel? Can you imagine that?
Really?
A lot of I'm wondering if I'm thinking of Han Solo, but they did do a lot of they did a search.
He's not that tall. I can't picture him being all-American.
And was it Dino De Laurentiis's wife who saw Sam Jones either on The Dating Game, because he was essentially
or Playgirl. He did a nude spread in Playgirl. Maybe that's what caught her eye.
Yes, that's right. Also he was had a small part in 10. The Blake Edwards movie. Yeah,
he played her husband. Yep.
So he caught their eye, and I think he was great as Flash Gordon. He had that. I mean, he is I suppose the eyes of the audience going into this and going, what? As we all were when we were seeing it for the very first time. Now, you've had the pleasure, and we should thank Mr. Jones for our little intro at the start. But you've had the pleasure of spending time with Sam.
Oh yeah. He's been a guest at my Terrificon comic book convention at least twice that I can remember, and always a top guest, always a huge draw. Now he's got a resurgence in his career because he appeared in these the Talking Teddy Bear movies, part 1 and 2. Because my son, who was only 18 or 19 at the time, instantly recognized him. He's like, "Oh my God, that's the guy from Ted." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? That's Flash Gordon. He saved us all in 19 hours or whatever." And no, he's got a whole new fan base from those two Seth MacFarlane films.
Yes.
And his lines are never ending. I mean, for 3 days at my show, Sam Jones commands a fan following like no one's business. And he sets up right in the middle. He's got this beautiful giant backdrop that's done by the artist Alex Ross, who's a humongous Flash Gordon fan, one of the greatest talents ever in comic book art history. But he's also the biggest Flash Gordon fan I know. And he loves painting that image of Flash Gordon. It's on the box set. It's on the DVD. There's a brand new book that just came out called The Very Rare Scene Art of Alex Ross, and there's pages devoted to Flash Gordon. So Sam has this massive backdrop that he uses that's based on this work. Again, Sam Jones is a personality. He fills a room. He comes in, and I could see why they picked him to be Flash Gordon in this film. He might not have had a huge resume, but he has a commanding performance. He has a charisma. He has a likability about the guy. You can't help but love Sam Jones. Yeah. He walks in, he's your best friend.
Yeah.
Everybody who meets him just instantly loves Sam Jones. And that's just the way he is in real life. And it comes across in the movie. He's a nice guy. He's a really nice guy. So he's a great hero right there.
I agree. And I think he makes the movie and is a joy to watch. What I didn't know at the time when I was watching the movie, that the majority of his lines were dubbed by actor Peter Marinka. I had no idea. I mean, basically he had a falling out with Dino De Laurentiis. His representation probably didn't represent him as best as he should. So basically once the principal photography finished, when he was to be called back for ADR or looping or things like that, he refused. And as a result, they got an American actor who was living in the UK, Peter Marinka, to redub his lines. As a 10-year-old kid, didn't pick it up. I didn't notice.
Well, I only found out when Lou Ferrigno, aka the Hulk, told me at the show 2 years ago. We were in the limousine coming from the airport, and Lou says, because he's best friends with Sam, and we were talking about the movie, and he said, they dubbed him in that movie. I go, no. He goes, oh yeah, and he told me the whole backstory about it. I was unaware of it too, but that was not an uncommon practice for years, because if you watch The Legend of Greystoke, Andy McDowell's dubbed by Glenn Close. If you see Clinton Spilsbury in Legend of the Lone Ranger, he's dubbed by James Keach, who's Stacy Keach's brother.
Yes.
For the entire film, so it's not unheard of.
No, and even in
actors,
even in Flash,
star of the movie.
Even in Flash Gordon, there's George Harris, who we know as Captain Katanga. He plays the Prince of Ardentia. He is dubbed in the movie, but on the soundtrack, you can hear his original voice. Yeah.
Speaking of Raiders of the Lost Ark, I was going to say, as a Raiders fan like you and I, there's a lot of Indiana Jones supporting characters in there.
There is,
starting with William Hootkins.
Yes, as Munson.
Porkins.
Yes, he's Munson, who's lab assistant or sidekick of who gets run over by or gets killed by Flash Gordon's jet, I suppose.
Plane or something. Yeah. And because it's funny, his name is Munson, you say?
Munson, yes.
That's the brand of chocolate over here in, where I am. There's a whole line of chocolate.
I always thought as a kid he was Bunsen, and I thought, he's playing homage to Bunsen from the Muppets as the lab assistant.
That's what I'm thinking. Like the little
but there's this Philip Stone, who's the high priest, Lumbert in Indiana Jones.
Rifle in Temple of Doom.
Yes. There's also there's Star Wars connections as well. That was filmed around the same time as Empire Strikes Back. Obviously, you've got John Hollis, who was Lobot. He's
what was he?
He's the observer with the eyes. Who's going strange object in the Imperial vortex.
That's Lobot, huh?
That's
Lobot. I didn't know that.
John Hollis.
No, he was working. He was busy that summer because he was doing Empire Strikes Back, and then he's doing this.
Yes, it's funny that he had appliances on his eyes at the front, and then they go, let's not do that. Let's put an appliance at the back of your head for Empire Strikes Back. So there's
Deep Roy is in it. Deep Roy.
Yes, he plays
a Facebook friend of mine, but he's a talented actor who's been in 1,000 movies that you might not recognize because often he's under makeup. He's the pet of the princess, I believe.
Princess Aura. And do you know what his character name is?
I think it's Pet.
No, it's Fellini.
Oh, okay. I didn't think it had a name. Really?
Come along, Fellini. So,
okay.
As a nice little, homage, which is really good. So, the story of Flash Gordon, we won't go over, to reiterate the story or anything like that. However, it does look spectacular. And my only disappointment with the film was that while I didn't mind it not being a used universe, like in Star Wars, the visual effects were not up to Industrial Light and Magic standards.
No. Who did the effects in that?
Sorry?
Who did with that? Studios effects?
Yeah, it was a British. I'll find out who was the special effects supervisor. But
Yeah, because I didn't like that at all. It reminded me of years later, they're going to be Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan, where they basically took a fish tank and they poured like colored inks or paints, and they got that cloudy.
See,
misty-
I didn't mind that. I didn't mind that. What I didn't like was the garbage mats that you could see around.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. The
that.
green screens. It's like when we would hear on the show, and I have bad green screen, but you know, I'm using a $13 green screen cloth I got from Amazon.com. I'm not a $1 million picture. How much money was spent on this? Was this
it cost $20 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
They didn't spend it well. I don't know.
They spent it all on the sets. I think you can see that in the sets and costume design. The special effects are pretty they are
for
look,
the time.
They are this. I think they're with the Hawkman and everything like that. You had so many people flying and things like that.
There was a lot of wire work in that.
There was. So
see the wires, man.
You could, but the
going for something
for the 40th anniversary box set.
Nice.
They did wire removal for all those. So on the new 4K and Blu-ray, you can't. They've removed those. They fixed a few things, which is really good. And
well, you got to remember too, in a darkened movie theater with the projector bulb, it wasn't. What do we have nowadays? THX, IMAX. We didn't have crystal clear digital projection back then. You probably couldn't even see the wires. Mostly the bulbs were that low.
Yes.
In an old movie theater. I mean, it wasn't state of the art back then.
No, you're absolutely right. So that was the only thing that, sort of disappointed me a little bit about.
Well, no. What the hell's the deal with those lizard people when he's in that cage? They freaked me out. They have like their mouths are open, but they're in like a green lizard type of outfit. Yeah. Alligator men, is that what they're supposed to be?
And lizard men, and they had their lizard eyes men. Sort of to the side.
Yeah.
Well, one thing, if you're interested in Flash Gordon, I should say, let me just move Flash here. There's the animated series that came out 1979, the year before. It's a great series, and it's quite true.
Lou, I can't think of his last name. Lou
Scheimer.
Yes, he did a bunch of. He had Batman. He had Tarzan. Yeah, that's his studios. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to. So there's 24 episodes in here, and they're quite. You've got the Lion Man. You've got a lot of the characters from the
Hawkman and all those folks.
Yeah, a lot from the comic book series. So if you are interested, you can still pick up those, and it's really quite good. The animation's quite good, and it's quite true. So Flash Gordon came out. It didn't. Now again, people think that it was a flop. Okay, it wasn't a flop. It cost $20 million to make. It made worldwide around $46 million. So doubled it. It made its money back. It was a huge hit in UK. It was a big hit in Australia. It didn't do, I think it made 16 million maybe in the United States. It didn't.
When did it come out? What
1980. So it did come out.
I know that, but what time of year?
December. It came out just a few days ago of this recording.
Oh no, because I'm thinking to myself, that summer we had The Empire Strikes Back. We had the Blues Brothers that came out in June. And in the 1980 Christmas, I'm trying to think if there was a big movie then. It doesn't ring a bell, but I don't know what its competition would have been.
I know we've joked about this before, but we had
you had Superman.
We had Superman the movie. We had Flash Gordon come out. It was a pretty good. Did the Deep, was that 1980?
I thought that was like 78.
Oh, maybe 79. It was. I'm
Nick
trying to
Nolte,
think.
Jacqueline Bisset, and Robert Shaw.
Yeah. So
well, here it was, I think, 79. I don't know.
Yeah, but it did well. Unfortunately, and it was. You know what? The other main disappointment of the movie was at the end, where it was either Ming or apparently Clytus picking up the ring.
Yeah.
And there were 2 other sequels going to be done.
Well, the original serial, like I mentioned, there was 3. There was Flash Gordon Goes to Mars, I think, and Flash Gordon Conquers the Universe. So there was definitely more material.
They were signed on, and basically
they were signed up for it.
They were signed on, but with you know, the falling out of Sam Jones and everything, and it not doing as well as I suppose it didn't do Star Wars numbers, you know, that they were expecting. You know, it was they didn't obviously make any sequels, but interestingly, one of the idea for the sequel was that was that Clytus, so you know, the wonderful Peter Wingard,
who face melted away,
who, you know, he got thrown on the
spikes,
the spikes, and I thought was always cool. He's actually a clone of Ming, and basically there are all these clones of Ming, you know, in various stages of, and that was going to be basically Ming, a clone of Ming would come back and do that, which I think is rather interesting.
It is.
Given
it's kind of a Star Wars
exactly
thing,
So I sort of lament that there were no sequels, and they've been trying to make a sequel to Flash Gordon for years and years and years. There was you know, many people have tried to put in development. I think at the present time, I think Sam Raimi was attached at one point to a sort of a reboot. There was in 2007 they did a horrendous TV series, which was
sci-fi one.
Which was so low budget, it just was awful. And where Mongo looked like Vancouver, unfortunately. And at the moment, I think as of last year, Taika Waititi was attached to doing an animated version of Flash Gordon. Well, and you know, Thor Ragnarok is
I was going to say Thor Ragnarok reminded me a lot of Flash Gordon, because the look, the set design, the music kind of had that feel to the soundtrack a bit.
And I've got to say again, I love John Williams and an orchestral score, but the music for Flash Gordon by Queen. This is my original single from Flash Gordon, Flash's theme, with I put my name on it, and I drew the Flash Gordon logo on there as a 10-year-old.
Graphic design skills are unbelievable.
Oh, they are. Coming from you, Mitch, I appreciate that.
I do it for a living. I know how it works.
So that score was fantastic, and that's it is like a concept album because it's got pieces of dialogue throughout it. The single was really great. We can't really play any of the music, unfortunately, because we'll get a content match. But the single came out. It was top 10 in the UK, went to 16 in Australia. It didn't crack the top 40 in America, but the album was pretty big.
Now I got to ask you, did Freddie Mercury, was he a fan of the character, or did he know about?
Well, they were brought on. They were originally playing, I think, Pink Floyd as a temp track during that, and that's when they decided to approach Brian May, and they said, yeah, I think we can work with this, and they created all these you know, songs, and then they got basically there was a problem with the original composer who hadn't composed any orchestral music. They got Howard Blake to come in. He was sick and got you know, had a very small amount of time to flesh out the orchestral portions, but the majority of it is Queen. And it just works. That Flash's theme is iconic, you know, go Flash.
It is. No, everybody knows that. Flash. Oh,
I know. And they even used it in the last season of Flash, the Grant Gustin series.
Yeah, the TV show with Grant Gustin. Yeah, they
did. Where Ramon was you know, doing Ramon, I think, in there, where they got
he's the lab assistant.
Which is great. It's a great score, and it just sets everything up. And you know how you said it was a bit like an opera.
Yeah,
it is. It's a rock opera, and I've always thought, wouldn't that make a fantastic Broadway show?
Play music? No, and like I told you, it feels like a Broadway show. It seems like something I would see in New York on stage, you know, with the costumes and everything. Even the angles, because I could see in my mind when the soldiers or the troops are coming down the stairs in those red outfits, and they kind of do that low angle. and you hear their footsteps all in unison. Shun, 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 shun.
Yes.
It sounds like this is gonna be Ming, and he's gonna take down.
They remind me of from Wizard of Oz, the you know, the
Wiz. Well, they made a Broadway show. It was called The Wiz.
Yeah, well, that's true, and of course, Wizard of Oz. But anyway,
but you're right. They somebody should, because it's almost there already. It's almost like a rock opera. It's this close to being Tommy.
Yeah.
You know, if they just tinkered with it, they would have had a cult. Well, they do have a cult classic.
It is a cult classic, and that's why we're talking about it 40 years later. The Blu-ray box set or the 4K they've released by Studio Canal looks absolutely gorgeous. In 4K, it looks spectacular. The colors pop. It is.
I have the Blu-ray that came out a couple years ago for the 3rd and 5th, maybe, and it just opens like this. It's got another Alex Ross, beautiful artwork on the cover from Alex Ross.
If you can pick up the new version, it's well worth it.
I think that box set that you have is only a foreign release. In the US, I saw it over at Best Buy. It's just the disc. There's none of the extras. I think.
Well, you still get that. Yeah.
You can go to Amazon UK.
Yes.
And you can order it, and you'll get that box set. Like
because the 4K discs are region free, but I think it also comes with the documentary Life After Flash.
Which is a great. I've seen that already. That's a great.
So it comes with the patch. It comes with some great booklets as well. There's the great
that's
Alex
the cover
Ross,
of the DVD
artwork.
I have upstairs.
It's got a lot of great you know, photos.
Yeah.
There's Ella Moody there, fantastic. So you know, it's got some great artwork and things like that.
There's some memorable scenes in that film, that's for
certain.
I was going to say, comic book wise, there is an adaptation beautifully drawn by artist Al Williamson, who, if you like Star Wars, you'll know that because he also did the adaptations of The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
And he worked on newspaper strips. Al Williamson is famous for the Star Wars strips, but he also worked on, I think, Flash Gordon and a pile of other ones. The comic book was given to me by my friend Scott Martin. There's a 3-pack. I don't have it with me. It's actually in the next room. I should have grabbed it, but it's a 3-pack comics. It's in a poly bag, like a little shrink wrap bag that has all 3 of them in there. I think that actually goes for a pretty penny as a collectible.
I don't even have that.
I think it's like $50 or $60 US maybe, or more, in nice condition, because they did not merchandise, like you said. I have seen since. What are those folks? Retro. They make the little action figures that kind of look like. Yeah, you go. I've seen that.
So so fun. It's funny. They didn't merchandise the heck out of it like they would with sales, and it would have seemed like a no-brainer to do. Mego brought out earlier on, maybe early 70s, mid 70s, a series of Flash Gordon figures and a play set and things like that. When the film came out, there was really nothing. You had the soundtrack. You had there was a sticker. I think in Europe there was a sticker book. There was I don't know if it was a Ben Cooper, but some sort of Flash Gordon costume. There were the comics.
Isn't the record album? I remember the record album was a yellow cover.
Yes, I couldn't. I've got mine buried away somewhere.
Okay, I do remember my sisters.
There were comics. And these follow the design of, the movie a little bit. There really wasn't a lot of Flash Gordon merchandise. There was in 1983, there was an Atari video game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And there was an amazing pinball machine that they brought out, which I would love to get one day. It was pretty amazing.
In 1980, there was a Flash pinball machine?
Yeah.
I probably saw it at the arcade because that's where we would all hang out.
It's a tough one, but it's a really good one with the strobe and everything like that in it.
Did it play the Flash theme when you press the button?
I can't remember if it played it, but it had the attract mode on it was fantastic. It was an awesome pinball, and the artwork was really good as well.
Now, was it released on VHS? Was there any extra scenes? Is there any deleted scenes that they've never put out?
Look, they filmed some things, but certainly on the 4K, there's no deleted scenes. They talk about them, but they don't really delve into that sort of stuff, unfortunately. So, yeah, there wasn't a lot of merchandise. It took the guys at Entertainment Earth and I suppose Biff Bang Pow to create some new figures. They brought out some fantastic action figures. Oh gosh, a few years ago. They go for quite expensive
Oh, really?
prices
Well,
at the moment.
I know there's this. There's the Funko Pops. I have
Yes.
mine here signed by Mr. Sam Jones at my show. And yeah, there he is. I was gonna say, here's the back of it,
Yes.
and we can see what was available back then.
I should say they also brought out they had the novelization with the fantastic artwork there.
Mhm.
And they also brought out just some tie-ins with
Oh, those are cool.
yeah, so these are just re-releases of the original.
Are those photo covers or is that artwork? Well, I didn't see that.
No, it's a photo cover.
That's a photo. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're all the same apart from
Now,
that
is that just chapters from the movie?
These are original stories by Alex Raymond. So they're just sort of tied in.
I was going to say, I have these when he was at my show. I mentioned he was in TED. So he's kind of got a new one there that's signed by Sam. And then we've got he and Melody Anderson, which I sent you one as well.
Oh, there we go. I've got that there. Yeah.
And then there's a black and white one. There's actually a great one that I had just gotten. A fan wrote to us. It was done by artist Boris Vallejo.
Yeah.
I think it might be on the cover of one of your collections there. It's a bluish background, like a swamp background, and Sam is standing there holding up a laser rifle. It's a rare image. I don't see it used often for promotion, but I could have sworn I've seen it in your collection there. I don't know where it is.
I probably do. Well, I'll put a picture up if I can find it.
If you go find it, it's Boris Vallejo, who was a big artist in the late 70s, 80s.
I've got a couple of Empire. Oh, there goes my flash.
Jumping off the stands. Yeah.
I've got a couple of an Empire Strikes Back posters by him.
Yeah, he did one nice one with the Yoda and everything. Was
there Darth Vader with the crossed swords? So there was that. They're bringing out now, and they look absolutely amazing. To the Hot Toys quality 12-inch figures of Flash. You can also get Ming the Merciless, and they're doing Flash's rocket cycle, which is like,
oh, really
huge. But it
like a life-size scale?
Well, to 12 inch, yeah.
12 inches. Oh, okay. I was like, wait, is that the thing you could ride in? Because that was in the movie Ted.
Yes.
Too. He does that whole thing where he's on the rocket sled there.
Yeah.
That would be funny. Maybe I could build that as a prop for. See, if Terrificon happened this year, unfortunately it didn't because of the COVID situation, but we had talked with Sam and he was working on doing a 40th anniversary big event. And he was saying, we can maybe even get Brian Blessed to come over. And that would have been something because he doesn't really come out much.
Yeah.
But Star Wars fans know him as well as the voice, if not maybe the
Boss Nass
from the Phantom Menace, episode 1 of Star Wars. And he also, that voice of his, did he do other cartoon voiceover work or?
Oh, look, possibly. He's got such a
he sounds like John Rhys Davies to me a lot. I always think of him like,
I mean, he was in Blackadder as well. If you've watched the Rowan Atkinson series. He's just got such a presence.
Yeah.
And his Gordon's Alive, is just everywhere. In fact, he's selling on his website bumper stickers with Gordon's Alive that look like is it Gordon's Gin? The gin label.
Oh yeah, there's a gin,
like which is quite good. There are, there's Flash t-shirts and things like that. All I would say is, life at the moment is rough for a lot of people. Spirits are down. What I would recommend, if you want to lift your spirits, go watch Flash Gordon and just have fun. If you've got a 4K TV with surround, oh my gosh, it's great fun.
Okay. I'll admit, in preparation for the show, I watched it again.
Yep.
It took me 2 nights to sit through it though. There's this for all the things you just said, absolutely. If you want to change the pace, if you need something to bring your spirits up in these dark times at the moment, by all means, watch it and have a good time of it. Unfortunately, I just never got it. And that's it. It is what it is. I mean, some people like Star Trek, some people like Star Wars, some people like Raiders of the Lost Ark, some people like The High Road to China. No, I don't think there's anybody that likes The High Road to China. Well,
Tom Selleck does.
But I'm just saying, and that woman, Bess Armstrong. Yeah. But other than that, it's just
now. Hang on, wasn't Brian Blessed in High Road to China, or was it John Rhys Day? It was Brian Blessed, wasn't it?
It was Brian Blessed in there. Yeah,
I see. Whew.
So anyway, that's just dumb luck. I had no idea. But it is. I did like I said before. There's just something about it. I just can't get into it. That's all. I tried. I watched it.
That's all I
know some people that have seen it 1,000 times. Like I've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark thousands of times, Star Wars thousands of times. I just don't get the hook. I see it all there. I see the color. I see the sets. I see the music. I see the fun the actors are having. It just doesn't come together for me. Maybe because I'm such a fan of comic books. Maybe because I have comic books all around me and stuff, and I kind of take it a little too serious.
Yeah.
And that's why I can't, let it go and just, release myself. Or maybe I'm not under the influence of anything. That's a possibility.
It's the ballworms. You've been experienced the ballworms too many times. So all I can say is if you do like the film, there's a great Facebook group called the Flash Gordon Movie Archive. I'd recommend, joining that. The guy's name is David Oliver, and he's got a collection of original props from the movie and costumes, amazing. I remember going to Planet Hollywood in in Melbourne, and they had a few things. They had the Superman's key. Oh, it must have been I don't know if it was a replica or the original, the kryptonite sort of key that he would, not kryptonite.
The crystals?
Crystal.
Yeah, the crystals. Yeah.
They had John Travolta, Tony Manero's shoes from Saturday Night Fever, and they had Flash Gordon's sword. The one, this
the one that's on the cover. Yeah, that's iconic.
That one there in a frame, and I thought, I wonder if I could ever get that. He's got that.
I can't believe they haven't made a prop replica of that.
Yeah, I know. Well, there you go. We should get onto it. So have a look at that if you're interested. Watch the film, and again, you're absolutely right. If everyone liked everything, it'll be a boring world.
This show would only have one episode, and we wouldn't be doing every week. I mean,
that's right. But hopefully,
Land of the Lost wouldn't be our #1 show. We don't know.
That's right. Hopefully we've inspired you to maybe take a first look or another look at Flash Gordon. With Christmas coming up, what a great way it's a great present to buy someone, and you can, after you're eating all that turkey, sit down and you'll be laughing like Prince Voltan. I think so many things, and we've missed out so many things that we could have talked about the show, but there's plenty of resources.
We give people a smattering of Flash.
That's right. A flashering. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
We're flashing right now. Ed, I think there's only one way to end this show.
Are you going to do it? Is that what you're doing?
1, 2, 3. Yeah!
Don't forget, watch Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. I'm Ed Dollister.
I'm Mitch Halleck.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Yeah!